Hello everyone, I'm the Saxy Gamer. Today we're here for yet another Civilization 6 Wonder Spotlight, where today we'll be taking a look at Angkor Wat. So Angkor Wat is a wonder that is unlocked with the Medieval Fairs Civic. This does make it a medieval era wonder. To get the inspiration for medieval fairs, all you have to do is have 4 active trade routes. I find that this is something that I can get probably about 50% of the time whenever I'm going, just through a regular game. Normally this depends on how much culture I have and how fast I'm getting to medieval fairs. If I have a lot of culture per turn and I'm getting to medieval fairs really fast, then chances are I probably haven't built enough commercial hubs or harbors to get enough trade route slots to have 4 trade routes. But if my culture is a little bit behind, then normally by the time I get to medieval fairs, I will have 4 trade routes and will be able to get the inspiration. But nonetheless, the inspiration is fairly straightforward to get, and you can get it fairly easily should you so desire. Once you research medieval fairs, the building requirements for Angkor Wat are as follows, and they are very simple. All you have to do is place it adjacent to an aqueduct district. Although this is simple, it's not something that I find myself doing often, just because I very rarely actually ever build aqueduct districts. Normally I just prefer to straight up settle on fresh water sources, so it's a lot easier to settle on rivers or on lakes than it is to settle one tile away and build an aqueduct district. With that being said though, there are still some cases in which, maybe I settle on coast and build an aqueduct to a mountain to get some additional housing, or if maybe I'm not able to settle directly on a freshwater source because of, tile limitations or anything of the sort, then I will build aqueducts in some cities. But for the most part, I don't actually build many aqueducts, so these building requirements can be a little bit difficult for me to fulfill. But if you're someone that really wants to, you can build an aqueduct in most cities, because even if you're settled on a river, you can still place down an aqueduct, and thus satisfy the building requirements for Angkor Wat. Angkor Wat also does have a production cost of 710 production, which is the same as all of the medieval era wonders, so once again you could just kind of expect around 20 to 30 turns to construct it. As far as Angkor Wat's bonuses are concerned, it will provide +2 faith in the city that it is constructed, it will make all of your current cities gain +1 population, and it will make all of your cities, both current and future, gain +1 housing. These bonuses, I think, are a little bit of a mixed bag. I don't think that +2 faith is very strong. That's a very small amount of faith per turn, especially from a wonder. It's almost inconsequential. I believe that's the same amount that you get from a shrine. I can't remember if a shrine is 1 or 2, but even so, it's very similar to that, and it costs a lot more than a shrine would. All current cities gaining +1 population, that can be nice. It is a little bit dangerous. If you have a lot of cities in your empire, you actually do kind of have to be careful, because getting that much additional population all in one turn can make it so that you end up with some amenity problems. So that is something to be aware of if you're going to build Angkor Wat. Make sure that you have a few excess amenities, because getting +1 population in a lot of cities can drive up the amount of amenities you need quite drastically, and that could end up, putting you in a bit of a bad situation. The fact that all cities, both current and future, gain +1 housing is very nice. I'm always a fan of abilities that, work throughout the entire game, and this is no exception. I think it's pretty good. +1 housing isn't particularly strong. I kind of wish it was +2, but nonetheless, that will just allow you to grow your population in your cities a little bit more. Once again, you have to be careful that you don't end up running into amenity issues, but the housing itself isn't going to make your cities grow faster, so that's not really too much of an issue, and housing is always just a nice thing to have. And now it is time to rate Angkor Wat. So if you're new to the series, all that I'm going to do is I'm going to give the wonder an overall rating on a 1 to 5 scale, and 1 is terrible and 5 is awesome. I'm also going to give it a difficulty and consistency rating that go along that same scale. So for the overall rating for Angkor Wat, I think that it deserves a 2. I'm really not sold on its bonuses. I've yet to really find a case where that bit of extra population is incredibly strong, or if it, provides me with a very meaningful bonus to my game. I mean, sure, there are some cases, especially if you're going for like a tall science victory, then getting 1 additional population in every city and getting 1 housing in every city can help a little bit, because you can grow your cities a little bit more, get a few more citizen yields, and I guess that's kind of okay. But overall, its bonuses don't really push you towards a particular victory type very much at all, and the extra faith that you get from it is really just too weak to even make it much of a faith wonder. So for that reason, I definitely think it deserves the 2, because its bonuses they're really not impactful enough to make it something that's all that worth getting. As far as its use cases are concerned, though, I kind of touched on really the only reason I would ever build it, and that's to allow myself more room to grow tall. So getting one additional population in all of your cities is nice because that gives you another citizen to work more tiles, or, you know, it gives you some more citizen yields as well. The +1 housing also just gives you more room to grow more population because if you know how housing works in Civ 6, effectively how it is you have a housing cap, and that's effectively the maximum population that you can grow to, because otherwise you're going to get food, what's the word I'm looking for? Food, like downgrades, I guess, is to your growth once you are approaching that housing cap. So getting one additional housing just kind of allows you to grow a little bit taller. Outside of that, I don't think there's really much of a reason at all to go for Angkor Wat, because those bonuses that it provides the bonuses that it does provide don't really play towards any other particular use. As far as its difficulty rating is concerned, though, things are looking up for Angkor Wat, because I think it definitely deserves a 1. It is easily one of the easiest wonders in the entire game to build. For whatever reason, the AI just really do not like to build it. I think that the reason for that is because they don't like to build that many aqueduct districts. Even if they settle stupid cities that aren't on any water, they still won't build aqueduct districts. They sometimes will, but not very often, so I think that's why they don't end up building Angkor Wat all the time. But because of that reason, you don't really have to be very competitive at all to go for it, and most of the time it will still be available to build like later on into the game. So for that reason, I think it's probably one of the easiest wonders in the game to construct, and thus I think it deserves the 1. As far as its consistency rating is concerned, I think it deserves a 3. Its bonuses are mostly consistent, but also not incredibly. As I mentioned, you do have to watch out if you have a lot of cities, you could get yourself in a bit of a sticky situation by getting that spontaneous extra population in a lot of cities. So in one of those cases, its bonuses would be kind of detrimental. But in other cases, you know, if you're playing more of a tall game and you build Angkor Wat, then you don't have to worry about that at all. So its bonuses end up being moderately decent. But as far as versatility is concerned, it's not really pointed towards any victory, but it's not also pointed away from anyone. So for that reason, I think you could describe it as moderately versatile, but that's really just because it's not very good towards any one of them at all. But I think it does deserve the 3 in consistency. So thank you everyone for watching. I've been the Saxy Gamer. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you're looking for more Civilization 6 content, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.